Did you guys know that the Democratic Party is paying people on TikTok thousands and thousands of dollars to make videos talking about how awesome the Democratic Party is? I know, because they've offered me nearly $15,000 to do just that, to try to take attention away from that whole genocide thing. And I also know because I've unfortunately had to follow mutuals who started posting content suspiciously in line with the pitches I received to do just that within around 48 hours of me receiving those pitches. And suspiciously, nobody is disclosing on TikTok that they are getting paid to make videos just like this. So, since nobody wants to tell you the Democrats are paying them thousands of dollars to talk about how awesome the Democrats are, I'm going to tell you, you guys should be aware that when you see videos like that, the Democrats are actively paying people to talk about how awesome the Democrats are. I've received 2 pitches so far to date. I received one that was to make ongoing videos monthly leading up to the election. And I received another one that was to fearmonger specifically about Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation. If you follow me, if you listen to my podcast, you know I have 4 hours of content talking about the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025, okay? It's not good. It's all ass. But I resent the way that the Democrats are trying to fearmonger like it's something new and some unique horror you need to be terrified of in order to coerce you into voting for them with bad information. The Heritage Foundation has been asked since it was incepted in the 1970s, and Project 2025 is just the newest name for the Mandate for Leadership, which is their document that comes out every single election cycle and has since 1980, trying to influence Republican politicians on how to vote. And you also should probably know that Heritage Foundation trustees are actively endorsing both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
And I was actually, as I said on PBS today, going back and forth with this lady, and this lady was trying to say that Trump is responsible for Project 2025 and he's deeply tied into Project 2025. I said, We have so many facts that point to the contrary. We actually have a former director of Project 2025 saying, yo, Trump has nothing to do with this. I know some of us have worked for him at some point in his prior term. He has got nothing to do with this. Yet the DNC is emailing influencers, probably some of your favorite influencers, and telling them to shout them out for thousands of dollars. And of course, depending on the influencer, the money is going to be quite large. She has quite a following, but not as much following as some of the big influencers that are out there on the internet. So imagine how much money is circulating. And my question is this allowed? How is this allowed that you can just pay somebody an exorbitant amount of money to endorse you and tell all of their followers to vote for you? I wouldn't support it if the RNC was doing it. I don't support it if the DNC is doing it. It should not be allowed. You shouldn't be able to funnel money to these online content creators to give out this hollow political message that you've essentially written out in an email and pitched to them for them to say almost verbatim. And that's why you're going to see a whole bunch of influencers on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, shouting out Kamala Harris, shouting out the DNC, talking about Project 2025, which Donald Trump isn't even associated with. And it's because they're being paid. Now, I don't know it's the case for all of them, but clearly some of them are being paid. And I gotta ask myself, we've seen a lot of celebrity endorsements of the DNC and Kamala Harris. How much money is being funneled to those individuals, if any? I think this is something that needs to be deeply investigated. And as I said before, it shouldn't be allowed.
And that Barack Obama famously worked with them in the past for policy. Are they conservative? Yes, but they're not exactly super partisan. And that probably also is why Kamala Harris is saying that she will definitely want to seat a Republican in her cabinet. I keep saying, socialists are punching right and the Democrats are standing there. Why are you standing there? Anyway, since people making videos online aren't disclosing to you that they're getting paid thousands of dollars to do so, I just want you, consumers of media, to know that people are being paid thousands of dollars to make those videos. Yeah, you should be aware. And it's a lot of money. It's a lot of fucking money. When I realized it was like, I could have made $15,000 in 4 months if I was just like, really, guys, the Democrats are pretty cool. I think they're really cool. I think you shouldn't worry about the genocide thing. They're so awesome. They're so awesome, really. That shit blew my mind to realize. It blew my mind to realize. I'm not here to tell you that you should be ashamed of how you vote or who you vote for or whatever. As far as I can tell, every single American is making a horrible shit-ass decision under coercion and duress, right? It's not great. But I am here to tell you the people on your phone are being paid thousands of dollars to give you some of those political opinions, like I heart Democrat. Since they won't tell you, I feel it is my obligation to tell you That's what's been happening behind the scenes.
And you know what? I appreciate her for doing that, for being transparent and saying this is what happens. And we went through this sort of like whole wild, wild west on the internet when it came to sponsored content, when it came to people paying for a certain message. And it was generally decided, at least I thought, that if you are working with a company or a separate entity that is giving you money to say something specific, you have to disclose that. When you see influencers that are working for a certain brand, they say hashtag ad, or they at the brand and say, you know, oh, I'm eating Chili's mozzarella sticks. I'm a Chili's partner. You see all those people on TikTok who are drinking those like Bloom nutrient powder, whatever. I'm a Bloom partner. So why aren't all of these influencers who are endorsing Kamala Harris and talking about how much they love the DNC and Kamala is so pro women and Kamala is going to do all this great stuff? Please vote for her. Hit the link in my bio. Why don't they have to disclose DNC partner, paid for by Kamala Harris campaign? That makes absolutely no sense to me. And with the extent to which social media is part of our lives, part of young people's lives, and just everybody, everybody's online these days, this is something that should have to be disclosed. And I will make it very clear. If the RNC is also doing this and people are not disclosing that they are working along the RNC, they should also be regulated, and they should also have to put that in their I don't know, caption. At the very least, you should have to disclose that this is happening. And it sucks that it takes like one person to just go, hey, I actually got an email about this and I'm not gonna do it. And you have to actually have character and morals to do that. Whereas all these other influencers are just taking the money, telling you to vote for Kamala Harris, somebody who could effectively ruin this country with her policies. She's a radical progressive. She's got so many horrible ideas. She's lying to you all the time. And they're telling you and their young, impressionable audience to vote for them without disclosing that they've been paid. They're getting rich off of your despair. They're getting rich off of the American struggle. So all the people who are dealing with the hurricanes right now, dealing with the federal response to those hurricanes, all of the people who have been unburdened by what has been, burdened by Kamala Harris's current administration and her time as VP, all of the people who are experiencing all the issues at the border, when you're listening to these influencers who are endorsing her, just know that she's probably paying for it. And I guess I should say allegedly. I don't want to get sued by the DNC. Don't sue me, DNC. You know, I may be able to give you some money, and then you can funnel that back into the influencers that you are having endorse your candidate.
And now, on a completely unrelated note, this video is sponsored by Project 2025.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm kidding. But, you know, when we look at this video of this woman saying that she's been offered to be paid, I've also seen that Kamala is outspending Trump by $5 million per day on ads in swing states. She's raised $1 billion in the last 80 days. And that's not even factoring in like the amount of free earned media value. That's a term that we use in the marketing industry when you get like favorable press. But it's interesting that this particular TikToker, and I've seen other people like Anna Kasparian comes to mind from the Young Turks, who are very willing to call out what they perceive to be the quote, like establishment elite that has their own agenda to put forward the candidates that they want to put forward so that they can maintain their stranglehold on power, essentially, and declare war on whomever they want to declare war on, force, you know, medical procedures on whomever they want to force medical procedures on because they stand to make money in big pharma, with immigration, changing the demographic makeup of the country, changing the electoral map makeup of the country. They want to maintain grip on the levers of power, and they have tremendous amount of resources to enable them to do that. And in a lot of ways, it supports this narrative that Kamala is kind of the empty suit candidate of the elite establishment, and that she's, you know, willing to take on whatever position that she needs to take on. She's willing to say whatever is going to be fed into the prompter in order for her to just ascend to the presidency, descend to whatever political office that she can personally benefit from. And that's useful, just like kind of maybe perhaps having a senile president was useful to the same cabal of elites that, you know, don't necessarily want a leader who thinks for themselves, a leader who's principled, a leader who's grounded. And as evidenced by this video and people like Anna Kasparian, the people who are principled and are grounded in their arguments, and that who I would probably disagree with politically, they see the same stuff happening and want nothing to do with it. So just the fact that the Democratic Party has so much resources behind it, you know, if you pull up the donors by like major companies, I just grabbed this from X, Google's top donation to Kamala is $1.4 million. And Trump's top donor that's corporate is American Airlines, and it's $130,000. So that's like by a factor of 10, over 10. That's just the biggest donor. And then go down the list, and like the graph bars in favor of Kamala coming from corporate donors are much larger amounts of money being funneled into the Kamala campaign. And when you talk to common sense everyday people, and are you getting the sentiment that there's just all this confidence in Kamala Harris? Not necessarily, but I don't know if I should have a tinfoil hat on right now. We should be playing some X-Files music or something, but it certainly seems like there's a suspicious amount of resources being spent behind the Harris campaign that does not reflect the attitudes of everyday people in the U.S.
Follow the money. Follow the money.